And for today's technical configuration video, we're going to dive into the Ruckus One portal and show you how to configure cellular offload using Passpoint, what's also known as Hotspot 2.0 technology, using the Ruckus One portal. Now, this portal is a little newer. It's kind of got some quirks to it. This may change. Always work with one of our onboarding engineers for the latest config that's specific to you. But this is going to show you on a high level how to get started. I'm going to dive into some of the settings. This won't be an exhaustive video like some of the others, just due to some of the quirks into how Ruckus One currently operates. It doesn't allow you to view all of your configs at a glance once you configure them. But that's okay. We're going to step through this. So I'm going to show you how you configure an offload SSID for WayFi. We're using our standard network name, WayFi Cellular Booster, with the period in front. That gives it a little bit of priority according to the standards. For network type, it's going to be a Hotspot 2.0 access network type. So this is what's going to enable the cellular offload. Next, we're going to dive into our Hotspot 2.0 settings. We recommend WPA2. You can't use WPA3. 6 gigahertz is only on WPA3, so it's kind of like some of the other vendors in that respect. So for Wi-Fi operator, we have configured our own here, but I'm going to show you what these settings look like. So you can do a name, so we're going to use Wi-Fi. Now I've already used Wi-Fi, so it's going to say it already exists. That's not a problem at all. And then for domain, we're going to do one domain per line. An onboarding engineer is going to show you how to configure all this. I'm just going to show you what this is like here. So for instance, for a domain, we may go ahead and configure such as OpenRoaming.org. And we go along with the rest of the carriers like that. The English here, of course, is going to be our language, and we're just going to use WayFi just for our friendly name. So we give you the rest of the name here. I'm not going to go through all of them, just kind of show you how it gets configured. Now for your identity provider, this one's a little more fun. So if we're going to configure this here with WayFi, you're going to have to add your realm here, so your NAI realm. So I'm going to go ahead and set one here. We'll just say it's WayFi. That's okay. And to get started, we're just going to do EAP TTLS. That's pretty standard. That's going to get us started here, so that at least we have one realm to get everybody running. You're going to add your standard PLMNs. We'll give you a full list here. What I'm giving here is just an example, but that's how you would enter your carrier codes. And then there's going to have your RCOIs. Of course, the actual order that you enter the RCOIs does matter. So, I'll just throw one in here. We're going to start with a long one. I'm going to give myself a little bit more of a challenge here versus an easy one. But go ahead and put that in there. This is going to be a 5 hex. Versus a standard 3 hex. So we're going to do like 8C, 1F, 6.4, 6.8, 1.0. And that's going to get you up and running. Your RCOIs, there are a couple more, but I'm not going to go through all of them. This is just an example to get you up and running. So that's how you would configure your identity provider. So that gives you the bare basic configs here to get started. So for your AAA, we are going to use radius here. So I do have some configured already. It is going to pull those in. Now, again, these settings may change when we work with your onboarding. Make sure when you work with an onboarding engineer, you go ahead and set that up. So this is going to be just your pretty standard radius config. Nothing too exciting here. And that's your basic config that gets this all set up. Again, a full config is going to have more detail. Unfortunately, currently on Ruckus One, you can't view save configs, but this is the basics that get you up and running. Don't worry about identity group. We're going to go ahead and skip that. For more settings, you can use VLAN pooling if you like, and set your guest VLAN. We do recommend enabling proxy ARP. Hotspot 2.0, 5-minute accounting interim updates. We do want to make sure internet access is enabled. For your access network type, use chargeable public. For IPv4 address, usually single NAT is going to be accurate. Use what's accurate for your network. Going to network control. Next, we're going to have client isolation. Make sure you're using unicast for your isolate packet setting. Disable automatic support for VRRP. Of course, if you have that in your network setup, you might want to enable it. Client isolation, allow list by venue. We disable that by default. Anti-spoofing should be turned on. Put your ARP request rate limit at 15 ppm. Your DHCP request rate limit at 15 ppm. Logging client data to external syslog. Standard config is to disable it. You can enable it if you like. And for application recognition control, by default, we put that on. On that one, you can disable if you like. Force DHCP, disable access control, and that's going to have your basic network control settings. Next, getting into the radio settings, make sure hide SSD is turned off. For here, we do unlimited as your max rate. Of course, you can limit this if you like. That may limit how much data that is transferred when working with carrier roaming. For clients per radio, our standard here is 100. Again, you can go a little higher, a little lower than that. Do what you consider best practice on your network. Enable load balancing between all cell radios. We recommend enable that. Enabling load balancing between APs. Recommend enabling that. We did put a BSS min rate of 12. Sometimes we don't. It really depends on what you think is best practice for your network. And then we do enable OFDM only. That will disable 802.11b for those legacy clients. Of course, you can override that if you like. For network, we recommend enabling AMB, enabling 802.11k, enabling 802.11d, and enabling 802.11r. You can disable these if you like. We do have our standard settings here for mobility domain ID at 1, client inactivity timeout of 120, and directed MCBC threshold of 5. For airtime decongestion, we do recommend enabling that. For transient client management, enable it. A join wait time of 30 seconds, a join expire time of 300 seconds, and a join wait threshold of 10. Do recommend enabling OCE with a broadcast probe response delay of 15 milliseconds and a RSSI-based association rejection threshold of -75. We don't by default put the AP hostname advertisement beacon enabled. You can enable it if you like. GTK key should be enabled. Multicast filter should be enabled. For basic service set, for BSS priority, we default to high. We really like Wi-Fi 7, so we're going to enable Wi-Fi 6.7. We're going to disable MLO. Just currently it's newer and has a lot of issues with certain clients. For NAS ID, we're going to use user defined and use a standard NAS ID. I've got our standard example here, but work with an onboarding engineer to set yours for all your locations. For NAS request timeout, recommend using 20 seconds. For NAS max retries, 3 retries. For the NAS reconnect primary, recommend 5 minutes. Called station ID, set as the wireless LAN BSS ID, and have single session ID accounting turned on. So it's quite a bit there for networking. Now we're all the way to advanced. For DTIM, I recommend setting it to 3. That's mostly going to be for Apple devices and turning off your QoS settings here. After that, you're really on to venues. I just have one sample venue that's here. Of course, you may have other venues that you have set up on your network. We recommend enabling it far and wide. Everyone has cellular devices that could use better connectivity. And that's really it. Once you have that configured, you're good to go to have this up and running. Within a second, you should have devices connecting to your network. When you work with one of our engineers live, of course, they'll verify live on the call with you everything's working perfectly and smoothly. Like I always like to say, make it simple, make it easy, make it WayFi, and looking forward to seeing you on the next technical configuration video. Thanks.